really big like guests, leaders of like, movements and urban planners and opera, actors, Pulitzer Prize winners. And it's not what this course is about. It's about people you've never seen before, people you've never heard of. And these are just, sorry.
No offense.
Totally worthless, but no, I'm kidding. That's not what it means. No, what I mean is these are ordinary people living extraordinary basketball lives.
Woo!
Right? And I got exposed to them through Daniel Abul Hassan is here. He runs something called Regular Hoops. And that's why these are people, and
Selfish.
I'm gonna let his video explain in his own words what he means. Is that okay?
Yeah.
By Regular Hoops. So, we didn't give you the handheld mics yet? Look at this, I'm not even doing my job. Here, everybody gets a mic. Look at this, like pro style.
Passing them down.
Yeah, pass them out. Good. See, these are basketball people. Okay, so let's play Danny's video, and then I'll ask Danny some questions. Oh, it's okay. Just gotta work the other. Everybody give a hand for Natalie. Natalie Dahl. She's been doing this for 3 years. Can you all see that? Yeah? Okay. Oh, volume issue.
Playing basketball?
Okay.
Who said you need to be good at something to enjoy it? I don't know about you, but for the amount of time I've spent playing basketball, I kind of suck. But maybe that's a good thing, because it means I really love the sport. I love going to the park, even when it's freezing. I love playing with my friends, even when they embarrass me. Obviously, my basketball dreams died a long time ago, but my passion for the game is still very much alive. You probably feel the same if you're still watching this video, because we're not getting paid to play, and we all have busy schedules, but something always brings us back to basketball, which is why I'm on a mission to make regular people like you and me feel more included in basketball culture. So I launched this basketball brand called Regular Hoops, and I've been doing it for 2 years now. Along the journey, I've met some of the most interesting regular hoopers, like Zendaya and Tom Holland, and George Messiah at West 4th Street.
Shout out Regular Hoops, man, my day one guy.
I learned that basketball connects us all, but now I want to dive deeper and understand why. So follow along if you want to explore life through basketball with me, because
It loops. For social media, it loops, guys. It's not cut out.
Are we good with that?
Yeah, great.
Okay, so Danny, when did this start?
When did it start?
Yeah.
It started summer 2022. I was going into my senior year at the University of Michigan, and I interned in New York City. After work, my roommate and I, we would just go play pickup basketball for fun. And the competition here is pretty good. I was waiting to get next more than I would have liked. So I'm like standing outside and I'm just watching these people really falling in love with the game. I was seeing the most insane threes. I saw the craziest Euro step ever at Christie Street on Houston. And I was like, wow, like these moments are happening and we're just moving on and forgetting. We're just going back to work the next day. And so I just kind of had this idea where I was like, let me just pick up my phone and start filming these regular people and give them their highlights. And so what started as sort of this side project to film people, make a highlight, tag them on Instagram, kind of turned into this much bigger mission where I was like, okay, let me look into their real passion and story as to why they even played basketball in the first place. So started basically on accident in New York. Just fell in love with the basketball court and the community here, and wanted to do something about it. I kind of view Regular Hoops as my tribute to basketball.
Yeah, and what do you think was being unsaid that you're saying?
When I look at kind of the mainstream social media landscape, or you go on your Instagram and you scroll or on TikTok, you're always going to see the elite high school, the college, the NBA, the WNBA players. But when you go to every pickup basketball court, 99% of people there are just regular people. It doesn't matter your age, whether you're 18 or 80, or your status in life, you're a VP or an intern, or your ability. Like, I've filmed wheelchair basketball before. No matter your age, status, or ability, we're all just regular people on the basketball court. You know, your billions of dollars, no matter how rich you are, can't buy you a bucket. Your blue check on Instagram, your clout can't buy you a bucket either. So that was sort of what I felt like wasn't being told. And I love the NBA, but I always wish some NBA superstars, WNBA stars would have time dedicated to sharing why they love to play basketball in the first place. Whereas I felt most of the mainstream news only talks about, you know, how they performed in the game or what they're doing in the off season to win the championship, where I felt like their reason for playing basketball is much deeper than the money.
And so, how many people have you found?
A lot. a lot of people, thousands of people. And of those thousands of people, you know, the ones who I find have really interesting stories, I like to kind of dive deeper and kind of tell it in a more elegant way.
Right, so these are, like you said, these are regular, these are people.
Regular hoopers. They
Regular
might be
hoopers
yeah.
playing basketball. They're not WNBA, they're not getting NBA, they're not getting all this money, all this fame, all this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, all these people, how important is basketball to them?
You know, I think it really varies on the person. I think there's some people who just want something after work to kind of stress their mind out. I think they want to get off their phones. Maybe to them that's like a 7. Maybe to someone else it's a 10. Maybe to someone else it's a 2 because their friend dragged them to the basketball court and their friend is a huge basketball player. So I think it really varies because I've seen all aspects. One thing that I would always do is I would go to these pickup basketball courts and I would film the games and I would airdrop people their highlights right away. And I could always tell like who really resonated with what I was doing based on their excitement for getting their highlights airdropped. Some people like would have a crazy game and they would hit like 5 threes and they're like, oh, I played like shit, like I didn't play well. And I was like, no, you have like 5 threes, I filmed it. I realized like people kind of just forget about the moments they have, and those people who like were really excited by those clips would like rewatch them, they'd post them on Instagram, and for those people I definitely say it's like a 10. Others, not to throw shade on like ex-college players, but a lot of the ex-college players have enough clips of themselves and they didn't really, they weren't as like open to it. So that was sort of the main focus, was just like on regular people who kind of don't feel as included in basketball culture. I'd say they are the ones who have basketball on a higher scale.
And so you have a series of a lot of different people who play basketball for different reasons. You call that series "Do You Still Hoop?" What is the origin of the name of that series?
The origin is actually from Professor Hollander's book, How Basketball Can Save the World. So I started regular hoops like 2.5 years ago, before the book was even out, and I was sort of going on my mission, and you know I really wanted to dive deeper. So I read his book, and then I read it again to see like if there was something in his book that I could kind of dig at and focus on. And actually in the first chapter, he calls the informal handshake in basketball like asking people, do you still play? Because you could just talk forever with people about their basketball careers, what they played in high school, their favorite position, their favorite players. And so I was like, okay, do you still play? Let's make it more specific. Do you still hoop? And so that was sort of the question I came up with and decided to go down every single interview with. That's how it starts, and that's the focus.
So this is the reason that I have the people on stage, because I've seen a lot of Danny's segments on Do You Still Hoop, and 3 of them really affected me. And we have those 3 people here now. And we're going to show each of their segments. I'll ask them a few questions after each segment. Maybe I'll ask the whole group a few questions, and then I want you guys to ask them whatever you want. Sound good? Okay, I don't know who's next, but here comes a video of one of you.
Do you still hoop? Yeah, like this. My name is David Hollander. I'm an NYU professor, author about basketball.
Enough of it.
day. I pull up to my local park here in Brooklyn, New York with my dog, shout out Django. This started during the lockdown in 2020. I'd be on dog walks. I was like, why don't I start bringing a basketball and start getting some shots up? And it really became a routine, getting the same 24 shots, really just to start my day. And it's not about breaking a sweat, it's more about watching the ball go through the net and setting the tone for the day ahead. Not enough, please. Oh. That's 1-0. And weekends are very special because wifey can join. Being Filipino is just like loving basketball. But all jokes aside, we're very caring people. I was a little nervous with the camera on me because usually it's just Django and I out there, but people have different forms of meditation. It's not just about being on the yoga mat. I might not be making all my shots, but eventually they all go down. And I think that's symbolic of everything. It could be your career, it could be dating, just shooting a shot in the morning. It's all centered around repetition and consistency. I got a whole album in my phone called Shoot Your Shot Around the World. So I get my 7 a.m. shots up, and then Django's turn to have fun. He's gonna shoot his shot with the dog ladies now. Basketball's been a part of my life since I was a kid. Going to Michael Jordan's last game during the '98 run, that was definitely a defining moment in my life. I'm a regular hooper, so I wasn't always the best, but I think it just grew that goal-setting mentality, wanting to be great. If I could go back, simple days, you know, when the street lights go off, that's when it's time to go home. Always been a Kings fan, had a career in sport and sneakers, but shooting my shot in the morning has really opened up the game back to me. And I'm in New York. This is like the biggest basketball city in the world. That's a dream in itself.
All right, Carlo, listen, I've been really looking forward to talking to you because it's such like an essential part of your everyday. So I want to know, who are you before you do that morning ritual, and then who are you after?
I do it every day at 7 a.m. I was there this morning. There was snow all over the place. Django was behind me. If you go to my Instagram, you know, you can see it in my story. I got the receipts at Online Carlo. Before 7 a.m., I'm just a regular person, regular hooper, and I wake up and I need to stretch, have my cup of coffee, say good morning to my wife, Chantel, who's actually in the crowd. Shout out to Chantel. And I wake up Django and I'm like, hey, it's time to go. So he does his thing, you know, he uses the restroom, and then we walk down the street, we go to the park, and you know, when you wake up, and especially just being in corporate life, just as you go throughout life, like, shit gets tough. I'm dealing with stuff every day. Everyone in this panel is dealing with stuff every day. Everyone in this crowd is dealing with stuff every day. And one thing that Professor Hollander said earlier is, you know, basketball is like where you can escape time stands still. And I actually tap into like podcasts or, you know, like Kobe interviews, highlight reels on YouTube, and I lock in and I shoot the same 24 shots. And like I said in the video, it's not about breaking a sweat or making every single one. It's just about eventually watching the ball go through the net, and that sets the tone for the rest of the day. So it's almost to a point now where if I don't do it, I feel off. So that's why I'm out there in the snow.
Why that thing? You could do meditation, you could do other jog, you could. What is it about that shooting those shots that gives you the kind of thing that meditation gives you, whatever that is, hear yourself, clarity, you know, presence?
Definitely. I think just as I have grown and even just going through career and corporate life, like, you know, I work at Nike and Jordan Brand, and even though my work in day-to-day is still rooted in basketball and streetwear and fashion, I still found myself being pulled away from the game. And committing my mornings to the routine has opened it back up in a way. And it's just a feeling like, you know, ideally it would be basketball, because this is a course on basketball and how basketball can change the world, but it could be anything, like whatever your passion is, like just whatever kind of where time stands still and you kind of just lose yourself a little bit, and time goes by fast at the same time. I think that's why it's basketball kind of gravitating for me. Yeah.
And there's last thing for Carl, and there's something about this thing though that you, I feel like, seize on when you say, you know, shoot your shot. Like, you can always shoot again. James Naismith actually observed a little kid once on his own. He was alone in the gym, and he just kept shooting, and he kept shooting again. And he asked the kid, he said, why are you here alone? Why do you keep shooting it again and again? He goes, I just want to see if I can make it the next time. There's something kind of like hopeful. There's an orientation toward the world that's positive. Am I going too far, or is that?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm a dreamer. I'm also a doer. And I think when you carry yourself and you set the tone for the rest of the day, you have that aura to, you know, like when you walk in a room, or whether it be your class, or for me when I go to work, or if I show up for my family, my wife, my dog, like I got to do these things and rooted in basketball to just set the tone for the rest of the day. And I've been doing that since COVID, like since the lockdown. And it really is thanks to the dog, because, you know, he was the reason why I was outside of the park, and I was like, dang, there's a hoop here, I should just start bringing a basketball. And I started doing kind of like around the world, and then I started doing the routine, and then went from 18 shots to 24 shots, and now it's just part of my day. And again, it's just about setting the tone for the rest of the day ahead.
All right. We're going to show another video.
Do you still hoop? I mean, a little bit. I still get buckets. My name is Jarrel Harris. I'm the commissioner of Sunday Wash Club. We are at the Wash Club Invitational. We started in 2021. After COVID, I just felt so lost. So I invited 6 media members just to hoop and shoot around. Then 2 weeks later, we had 60 people in the park. We knew we had something. And then now doing brand deals, playing for rings now, so it's grown so much. I knew kind of early on the NBA was on my cards. So how about the closest thing to being an NBA player, NBA journalist? Sunday Wash Club is a beautiful merge. We've done things with NBA players. They come to my run now. We did a run with Langston Galloway for his sneaker. We need Sue Bird to pull up. That's the dream. At the end of the day, we have jobs next morning. So come get a bucket, remove the Sunday scaries, chill with people, prepare for the week. That's it. I kept writing down like Sunday Wash. I took it from LeBron, calling him like the Wash King. Created the logo, put the basketball in the laundry, and then I have to show you the MVP trophy as well. It's a very special thing. There's still detergent here after 4 years. Cheers. How do you feel about Sunday Wash Club?
Love Sunday Wash Club.
My first time here.
I was thinking about it. I mean, there's a lot of feelings. It's the church. How can I say this? Good vibes, good people.
You're here with your friends.
I always feel good about Sunday Wash Club, meeting people.
Camaraderie, joking with each other.
Nothing but a family vibe. It's a fellowship of really good people that it extends beyond the court. I'm just honored and humbled to be part of it. And that's all because of you.
Want Sunday Wash Club? If you want to pull up, let me know. You're not hard to find.
Clap. So, wait, what does washed mean?
Wash? What does wash mean? It means, my bad. Can you guys hear me? What does wash mean? It means you haven't hooped in so long that you just lost it all, basically. But it started with like after COVID in 2021. They took away all the courts, well, all the hoops around New York City, if you don't know. And basketball is like my getaway. And that hurt during COVID. Like I couldn't go shoot around or anything like that. So once we got the hoops back, you know, I invited a few of people that I know, like in the media business, because we used to like run and play all the time. I see my guy Max right here. I invited him and like a few others to go play, and it was only 6 of us. But 2 weeks later, we had 60 people in the park wanting to play basketball.
So from 6 to 60 in 2 weeks, how bad do people want to play in a game like this?
Really bad. And like, a lot of us are all in the content space as well, so it kind of like grew on Instagram and like went everywhere. So everyone's like, how can I get into this run? And at that point, we was all outside, so you know, being back outside again kind of brought everyone together, and the community just keeps growing and growing.
There were so many different people. One of them's here. I see there's a bunch of stars. Emmy gets like double like action tonight. You were asking, and Danny asked them, like, you know, what does it mean to you? Or maybe you were asking, what does it mean? I guess, why is it so important? What is it that if you didn't have it, what would happen?
Wow, that's big. So 4 things. I work at the NBA as well, so basketball is my livelihood. It's the way I get to put food on the table. Second thing is culture. basketball influences everything from sneakers that we wear. I'm wearing Jordans right now. Like culture, like there's fashion brands like Prada and Louis Vuitton that have basketball like clothes now. So it's like stuff like that. And then the third is therapy. It's my getaway, as I said before, and as you said, just somewhere that I could go and forget about the road for a second. And then fourth, the most important is community. It's like Amy's up there. I met Danny. My guy Max is out here. Jack, Trey. We all played together, and like for us to be all in this room together, it's pretty awesome.
Ask you the same question I asked Carlo. Why this thing? What is it about basketball that creates that kind of community that you feel like if you don't do it, like something's gonna change about your personality? Why basketball? What does basketball do to each of you in this thing?
Yeah, so it definitely connects us all. Like a short story is my father's in the crowd as well. But I remember seeing MJ, and it connects to Carlo's story as well, in 1998 NBA Finals, and that started like my love for the game. So ever since then, I've been obsessed with the game. It's like I can't go a day without thinking about it, talking about it, writing about it. And like we have DMs for the Sunday Watch Club group chat, and all we do is talk about basketball. So I can't go a day without it, and it connects everyone. It's a community. So
for a weekly game like that, you know everybody on the list, right?
Yes.
So what happens when somebody doesn't show up and doesn't give notice? I don't mean like a penalty. Like what does the whole community want to know?
So when they don't show up, like what happens?
Right.
I mean, I tell them that they're not invited for a week or so. Exactly.
But do you worry about them? Do you miss them? Are you like, hey, are they okay?
Do I miss them?
Yeah.
Honest answer.
How well do you know these people?
We have so many people. We have over 1,000 people that have played. But we have like our Amy comes every Sunday, for an example. So if Amy didn't show up, then I'm gonna like reach out and be like, hey, what happened? Why are you not here? But we have so many people that come.
Is there anything else in your life that's even remotely like this?
I mean, family comes first. So like having my parents and my wife here is everything. So they definitely come first before basketball. But
That's
after that,
basketball's next.
Yes.
Sunday Wash. One more video.
Do you still hoop?
I hoop a little bit, but I mostly try to sell pizza. Come on, let's make some drinks. I'm Emmy Guyman. This is Public Display of Affection, the restaurant I own with my brother. I played overseas, and then I took 8 years off, and then I came back and started playing again. The restaurant has a lot of similarities to playing basketball. High-stress situations that you rely so heavily on your team to get through. I got a Marancini real quick. Turn it up a little. And all of these experiences that can feel negative and hard at the time, you look back on with gratitude about the people that helped you do it. Rob's my brother. He's probably my #1 favorite teammate here and on the court. He's gonna do the dirty work, but he's also a bucket. Cheers. Feeding people, hosting people, remembering events that you've had here, being here with your friends. We want it to be a real public display of affection. The majority of the restaurant is familiar faces, people that you know have been here before, our friends, our neighbors. That's so touching every time it happens. And I've been doing it for 5 years, and sometimes I'm like, damn, there's so many restaurants in this city, so many places to choose from, and the fact that people come here over and over again warms my heart. All of these basketball communities in New York make me feel so lucky. I just hope everybody can find a community, like a restaurant, like basketball or another sport. No matter what it is, try to find people that you like to be around. And come to PDA. The wings, the arancini, the pizzas, my great-grandmother's no-bake cookie, the best ingredients possible for everything on the menu. You really can't go wrong.
So we do have a pro basketball player here, first class. So I've worked at a restaurant, and anybody's worked in a restaurant, if you have, or it is high stress. It is intense. Every moment. Now you've been doing this for a while, but have you actually, like, almost like translated or transferred? Like, hey, I've been in this on a basketball court. I can handle this. Have there been moments like that?
Definitely. I think like sports are one way of knowing that you can make it to the other side of something really hard and uncomfortable.
Wow.
And restaurants are really hard and uncomfortable all the time. And you know, just the team dynamic and like a busy service is like a battle, it's like a game, and like at the end of it, like everybody can laugh a little bit and be like, you know, so-and-so took a charge, or so-and-so forgot table 4's order, you know, and you came out the other side of it.
Give me a specific example, anyone you want, if you can. I'd love to hear what goes through your mind, at some point in a shift.
Well, I think like sequencing, you kind of like, you need to know timing of things. You definitely rely on your team. Like if you can't make it to a thing, you have to communicate to your team member that maybe they can help you in a way, and then sometimes they can't. I don't know. I think there's like something that translates in so many aspects.
So, I want to ask you a different question. Not only are you like on the team in the restaurant and creating that community, but in the restaurant you're also like creating a hospitality community. You're in a community the job is to create community. How much do you know about that, about creating bonds, about creating connections, about reading people, from doing those two things at the same time?
Yeah, I think basketball planted the seed of knowing that not everybody has every strength, and a teammate a team is a complete unit. You have to like do whatever, like you have to use everybody in the way that, you know, in the way that their strengths translate to a service, similar to basketball. And then not every teammate or employee or coworker responds the same way. Like sometimes you have to be like really tough with people. Sometimes you have to be really kind and sweet with people. And then some people don't want to play on the team. Some people, not everybody wants to buy into the program.
When it gets slammed in your business, you've got to handle it. I liken it, I think, in my brain to a fast break. Because you can't plan for these things sometimes, you can't control them. Where did you learn, and I guess take it basketball to restaurant basketball, to solve problems with other people in the heat of like complete change?
I feel like the restaurant, in some way, well, I guess, I don't know, playing overseas is like, everything is new, lots of things are uncomfortable, people, you know, in other cultures don't react the same way as you expect people in this country to. So that probably gave me some tools, but restaurants probably gave me more tools than basketball in certain ways. Like when you ask me that question, the first thing I think about is dealing with restaurant problems. Because basketball things sometimes work themselves out naturally, and in restaurants you're gonna have to deal with it a little bit.
This thing about like being uncomfortable and getting through it, and then being uncomfortable again. I don't think most people have those experiences, or at least are conditioned to get through those experiences. How does basketball do that? When you play basketball, like, does it go from uncomfortable to comfortable to solve, back to uncomfortable? Like,
yeah, I think like any sport can translate into that. Like you have to be in shape, you have to get in shape, you have to be bad at things, and new at things. But yeah, you have to start somewhere. And And you can't get better without, taking new risks and taking new steps forward.
A lot of people like basketball for the community. You're in a community business, in a community Park Slope, and it's just, there's so much of that going on. Other than basketball, could you see yourself doing something else for a living?
Definitely.
What?
I don't know.
Community relate, like would it be like, I gotta have a team, I gotta be part of this?
Yes, it has to. I think like most businesses, team building translates everywhere. And so I think that's like something that I'm good at. So I think I'm actually like pretty versatile. We don't know because I've been playing basketball and doing restaurants for so long, but I think everything can benefit from having like a team dynamic.
A few more questions for these guys, then I'm gonna open it up to you. Question for all of you. So, what's one thing people who play basketball regularly have or know that people who don't?
I think there's like an inherent language to basketball. But beyond that, beyond it being a language, I like to call it like basketball Easter eggs. So for example, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, you might know the Harry Potter slang, and if you meet another Harry Potter fan, you'll connect with them instantly over that shared passion. I kind of felt the same way with the basketball court. So for example, if there's the guy who plays like rough defense, he looks like he played football, or the person who wears black Air Forces or plays with black Air Force energy is somebody who's like pretty aggressive on the court, or it's the white guy who only shoots threes. That's like another one. Lot of different stereotypes or Easter eggs that I would call it in basketball, where you can kind of come up with different things, and only people who play basketball would truly understand that in the moment. For example, like in Carlo's video, he yells out 94 feet when Django, his dog, is playing defense on him. 94 feet to most people might not mean anything, but people who play basketball know that the basketball court is 94 feet, and if you play really good defense, you're playing 94 feet of defense. So I just feel like that's something that basketball players have, or regular hoopers have, that not many people who don't play would understand.
Anybody else wanna? No? You can chime in if you could.
No, I would say like just shared connection, like with this like orange ball. It's like you said before, but like rural versus urban. It's like you could connect with someone from different parts of the world. Like for Sunday Wash Club, we started out with 6 people, but we have a basketball run down in Australia. And it's like, I don't know anyone really from over there, but they connected with me just because they saw what we were doing, just because of this orange ball. So now it's beautiful. Like, I love basketball.
I'll add something as well. And it touches back to what you were saying about team and, people's purpose on team. You may not be the leader. You may not be the Kobe, the MJ. You may just be a role player and the corner 3 or the midi, and leaning in on your skills and your strengths and really obsessing that. That's what basketball taught me, and I think is really unique to basketball, because in your mind you're like, you go to the court and you're like, I'm the best here, but then in translation it's like, dang, I can only really do this or that. But leaning in on that and obsessing that, getting better at that, and then when it is your time and you're called for that moment, career, passion projects, or on the court, you're gonna shine. And that's from basketball.
How often do you meet total strangers where this language gets spoken, and all of a sudden you've leveled up, like in your understanding of each other?
How often? I would say every day. Every day I go to the park, and usually there's only 2 other guys on the court at 7 a.m., but other times if it's like a later day at noon, like there'll be kids out there, and I'll just ask them like if they know about Nike athletes. Like, you know who Jason Tatum is? No. And then I'll just ask them about why they play basketball and what shoes they gravitate toward. And then even just from a culture standpoint, like you know, why this court and like why basketball, you know, and you just build a community through that. So it happens every day.
I mean, like, just this panel, like, I've met all of these people. There's a big section of this area that I know through basketball. Like, the people who came to see me besides my brother, I met all of them through basketball. I didn't know Carlo before. I mean, I watched his video, but, like, we already know we have something in common that we can talk about. It's amazing.
I mean, do you wish, like, the whole world could understand or feel what you feel, or do you feel like it's just only certain people could get this? Must you play basketball to have these kinds of feelings, or are there words we can put to basketball that we can tell everyone else, like, hey, be this way, blank way?
That's why you gotta read the book. The book does a really good job.
You got the answers, Professor.
Yeah.
We don't got the answers. No, you got it?
I think the book is definitely a main key. I'll give a story. My mom's actually in the audience. She's an engineer, like, been in that space for so long, doesn't really understand basketball, wouldn't sign me up for basketball growing up because she didn't understand it. I would complain to her all this time about what it means to me, but I couldn't explain it the way that, you know, the professor explains it in the book, or how I can explain it now. So I actually had her read the book. And after reading the book, she's like, wow, Danny, like, I really get you now. I wish this book was around when you were growing up, because I definitely would have signed you up for basketball and all that. And so I definitely think just the language and the wording of it and the messaging just needs to get out there a little bit more, because it really does translate to almost every other field.
Questions for our panel? Open it up to you guys.
I had a question for Carlo. I was wondering, like, you mentioned that you worked for like Nike and Jordan and stuff, and like obviously you're a big NBA fan. Was there like a specific turning point that caused you to want to like bring basketball to the park when you walked your dog? Like, was there something that happened that made you do that?
What was your name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. All right, that's a great question. I think, well, during COVID, we were working from home, and it was just a new sensation for all of us. Like, we were, with the people you were living with, or if you're alone or whatever, like, it was a very limited amount of people you could see, and we were just looking at what was going on in the world from a screen. And I would be on dog walks, and there would be a park, and I would just see the hoop, and I started bringing a basketball, shooting the same shots, and it became a routine. So I think it was just the stress of what was going on in the world, stress from that time in my career where I was trying to get an elevated role, and then just figuring life out. Like, you know, you got to have an outlet, and for us on this panel, probably a lot of people in this room, it's basketball.
Yo, here's a question for maybe Emmy specifically, but the entire panel, if y'all want to chip in. When did the competitiveness change for you, like being a pro versus going into like regular life where basketball is just having fun and kikiing, but it was a former life where everything was like do or die? And can you talk about that shift between, you know, winning and losing and how that kind of translates to your life?
I wouldn't say I'm super smooth at that shift. I think, like, I don't know if it ever left. I think getting to know the community in New York has, like, softened some of the competitiveness because I'm hanging out with my friends, but, like, I'm still psycho. Like, I still want to win, I still train hard, I still, you know, it's hard to turn it off. I don't know if I can. I think we're all probably up here because there's some level of competitiveness in us that brought us to this place.
Yeah, like I run a basketball club called Sunday Wash Club, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm not washed. Like, I could beat anyone on the court. So it's like that competitiveness like never leaves me. So.
I relate to that as well. Like, it is my form of meditation, but I am thinking about how I'm going to show up in the court next time I hoop. And if I have a bad game, I actually obsess those moves when I'm meditating. And Django's just like, hurry up, I'm trying to go to the park. And I'm just doing the same shot over and over again.
I will never dodge anyone in a 1v1 3 dribbles. That's my thing, and if anybody wants to challenge me, I will gladly take you up on that.
Wow. Dude, Peter.
Yeah, so I guess this question was initially for Emmy, but I'll open up for any of you. Have you found that basketball and culture have like found a way to kind of intertwine? I know that many different countries have different ways of playing the game, so I was kind of wondering what your thoughts were on that. And if people kind of bring that to the court when they play.
Around the world. I think we have a lot of themes that we can pull from today, like teamwork, community, same language, like that breaks barriers, breaks cultures all around the world. I think, speaking personally, basketball was a form of expression as a kid. You know, I was a shy kid growing up, but when I was on the court, I would show you that I belong. And then off the court, it introduced me to sneakers and hip hop. And I mean, that was all happening at the same time, but it was all centered around basketball and seeing my favorite basketball players growing up, MJ, Trace McGrady, Vince Carter, all these guys. And then I'd be like, I need to look like them. So even Mike Bibby going to the Sacramento Kings games, you know, he would have the Jordans that weren't on the Foot Locker shelves, and I'm like, okay, so that's a PE, that's a promo, that's only special to the athlete. I'm like, okay, I dig deeper and deeper into culture and fashion, and basketball was the starting point. I know that's not like culture, like political culture, but that's just the culture that I live and breathe.
One thing that comes up for me when you ask that question is that in all the countries, I think I played in 6 countries overseas, and when people ask me what my favorite country to play in was, I always say that it was Mexico. And when people ask me why, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the first ones is that they love basketball in Mexico. And so I felt like a built-in sense of community in that country, just because people would come to the games, they were excited about it, they were excited about me. And I can't say the same for every country, even though there are great things about every country that I played in, but yeah, the fact that like in certain ones they love basketball more, it's just like easily talking to my heart already, you know?
Good. Go.
This is a question for Jarrel, but whole power. So you mentioned that how you experienced the Hawks department taking all the rings down during COVID. I was a victim of that as well. They still have to give them
Tough, man.
But I was thinking like in that time, what was it, like a year and a half when we didn't have the rings, in that time away from the game, at least in that community space, how did your love, either your love of the game or your view of the game change? Because like from my perspective, it was just I always loved the game, but I grew more appreciation towards the community aspects of it. So I was wondering
Yeah, no, exactly the same. It grew for me. It's like I was obsessing over basketball, like just to go play. But like Carlo, like watching Kobe videos and MJ videos like nonstop about playing. But it also gave me time to like breathe and create something called Sunday Watch Club. It's like I wanted to build something like a community for like, you know, not your traditional like athlete, you know, but get a community together of like regular hoopers, you know, and just play together. So, but yeah, it grew from COVID.
Coco, did you want to?
Yeah, no, I have one. So when you think about like the business of basketball, I feel like it's changing a lot too. Even with like games, like ticket prices have gone like way up too. But like that's another community. Like for those who can't play, they watch. So like, how do you think like that's changing in these like recent years, and with like the WNBA coming in too? Like, do you think the price is like kind of like a new barrier for some?
I mean, yeah. As the NBA employee here, I probably shouldn't say much. But like,
come on, fix it, Joe.
I know how to fix it. But I was telling my wife the other day, I looked at Knicks tickets. I was like, wait, how much you have to pay? It's like, it's almost rent money. It's ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully no one's filming this. Yeah, I think it kind of like, it creates a barrier. Like, I want my nephew to like go to a game, and it's tough. It's very expensive. Like, a lot of people are not privileged enough to even go to a game, so it's tough.
I have a question for Daniel and Jarrel, but may be applicable to all of you guys. But if you guys could just speak on like the courage it took to like start your own brand in a sports space, because like the sports industry, we always hear about how competitive it is, and I guess how intimidating it can be. So if you guys could touch on that.
Yeah, for sure. I always tell people that the biggest thing that you have to have when you come up with a brand or anything is just to have a strong mission that you're really passionate about and you'll stick to it. So like regular hoops 2.5 years ago is not what it is today, but everything I did was through the lens of making regular people feel more included in basketball culture. And so for me, I do that through content, and the way my content has evolved over time looks drastically different, like now versus then. And there were so many times when I just like wanted to stop. I didn't want to edit. Like it just like it got a lot. And you know the other thing too with building a brand is you don't know what it's gonna lead to. You don't know if all your effort is gonna get the rewards that you want out of it. There's no clear path. There's no set definition. And so the only thing that kept me going was my passion for basketball and my passion for the mission. Honestly, I thought creating the brand I would be playing more basketball. To be honest, I'm filming more basketball, but it's been great because it's letting me connect with people like Emmy, Jarrel, and Carlo, and people like you guys today. So I would say like definitely just if you have an idea, just go for it. Don't overthink it. Don't take things too seriously, and just go at it with whatever passion you have.
I would say like when people see that you truly love something, like they will like be inspired and like they will want to join like the community. Like for Sunday Wash Club, it's like I'm obsessed with basketball. I'm always thinking of ideas. I say it's like my creative playground. Like in the corporate space at the NBA, I get declined like when I pitch stuff like all the time. But this is my thing, so I get to do whatever I want. I get to like create a tournament and like give out rings and detergent bottles for like MVP trophies. So it's like I get to like I'm afforded to like make mistakes, because I'm my own boss at Sunday Wash. So it's been pretty cool.
For Jarrel, I mean, so Sunday Wash, like, it's fundamentally built around accessibility. It's like everyone's like just trying to keep out there on the court, but now you build something that's quite established. So I'm curious, how do you balance bringing new heads in there when obviously you and all your pals are there and all want to play? Like, what does that look like now, several years into this?
Oh man, Emmy could tell you, but it's tough. I'm blessed to be in this position, but like so many people reach out that wants to play, and like we are so limited that we play indoors, especially in the winter time, and we only have like 15 to 20 spots. But I get DMs all the time, like in the 100 mark, wanting to play with us now, and I feel so bad that I can't let everyone in. But I'm happy that I just continuously like growing at a rapid rate. But like seeing like some of you guys that comes to the run, like Trey, like you yourself, you got to go out to LA and play with the Clippers through Sunday Wash Club. So it's like stuff like that.
Okay.
This is for everybody. Who is your favorite like up and coming player? They either college or coming out of high school in their senior year, or anyone who's like your favorite player, male or female, that you think is really changing the game or continuing to like grow the game of basketball?
I'll start off. So there's a few. Anthony Edwards for sure. He's bringing something different. He's not afraid to talk and be himself. So that's what I love about him. Someone named Juju Watkins that plays for USC. She's a bucket, and she's gonna be a force for years to come. So for sure.
To add to that, I'll say it's interesting to see the shift in the face of the NBA. Like you mentioned, Anthony Edwards. Like who's gonna take the three-headed monster, like the Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, face of the league. So I'm really inspired and just would throw in Jason Tatum in there, but respectfully.
I think everyone's talked about how basketball has impacted them positively and how it's been a source of inspiration and creativity. I'm curious to know from the panel the moments where basketball might have discouraged you and what you had to tell yourself to overcome it, and maybe another point in your life where you use that same strategy to get through a life challenge.
So I attended a high school called Rice High School in Harlem, New York. I went into the school thinking I was going to be on the team, everything like that. But for some reason, there was a player named Kimball Walker on the basketball team. And I had no chance of making the team. It's like full of Division I players, future NBA players. So the next best thing for me is I know how to write. I wanted to get close to the game. So I was like, let me be a journalist. So my freshman year, I covered like Kimba in in our high school team, and that like created my journey. Like I got to work at Sports Illustrated. I work at the NBA now, so it's all from that decision of like not making the team, and like that hurt. Like as a competitor, like I want to hoop, but it gave me my career basically just for not getting the opportunity.
I'll say just for basketball, you're practicing, you got repetition, consistency, watching the ball go through the net. That's just like corporate life, business owner, content creator, also corporate life. Like you're not always gonna. I just applied for a job and I didn't get the role, but I'm gonna keep going because I know what it feels like to get the role and also not get the role. So it doesn't stop. And it doesn't stop, like when you shoot the ball, it's not always gonna go through the net. When you apply for a role, when you do a passion project, like it's not always gonna land, but it's the consistency, it's the repetition that gets you eventually get the dub.
Shoot your shot again.
Every day.
I have used the example that basketball has broken up with me, like we're in a bad relationship, but just like a relationship, I have needed to work on it if I want to keep it. Sometimes you need space, sometimes you need to change the relationship, the nature of it. Like maybe I don't get to be a professional basketball player anymore and I only get to go to Sunday Wash Club or whatever that looks like for you. So yeah, just like approaching it like if I want this, I have to figure out how I can make it work for me, something like that.
Yeah, I like the breaking up with basketball metaphor. I always said I love basketball so much, but basketball doesn't love me back. That's not how I viewed it. I was like in middle school, I'm tiny, I'm skinny, I have no shot at making any team. And I was like, I'm putting all these hours in, but I'm not seeing the results that I want. And sometimes I wonder, had my mom sign me up for AAU, and actually put me through the system, if I would actually be decent. But what I'll say about that is I think my delusion with basketball made me more passionate now than had I maybe been in that system. Because had I been in that system, maybe I wouldn't have the same love for the game that I have today and the same appreciation. Because for the amount that the game didn't give to me, for me to still be actively trying to grow the game kind of says a lot to me, and means that this is truly something that I love. And kind of going back to building a brand, it's a reason to keep going even when things get tough, because if I'm still promoting the game and trying to grow this mission, then it probably means something really special, and it's not something worth giving up over a long night editing or missing out on a Friday night with friends or something.
Any other questions? Oh, Nasha.
My question for the entire panel is, what were your first basketball sneakers and what did they mean to you?
Me first?
The sneaker guy.
The Jordan 13s, 2004. I was walking into the mall and I walked into a Foot Action. I saw them in the display case. And I bought them, and I remember putting them on and how they made me feel. Just from seeing what MJ did on the court, from seeing it in music and culture. And I was actually pre-med in college, and I quickly changed my major. I remember calling my mom. We talked about courage. Someone else asked about the courage question. It's I called my mom. I was like, I need to switch my major and really go after my passion. And I always credit back to that moment, because I was like, I want to be part of these stories. And why do I feel this way about a pair of sneakers or playing basketball? It's because it uplifts you. It inspires you to be a good person. It inspires you to story tell. So I had to work my way and be behind the scenes a little bit, because I wasn't going to be on the court. I mean, I am now, but professionally. So I had to find a way in somehow.
You mean cool sneakers? Because that's last year for me.
Yeah, sure.
I would say it's similar to you. It's a pair of Air Jordans. I remember the Air Jordan 17. They had the suitcase, and my brothers, they both got a pair, and it was like the first $200 pair of Jordans. And somehow, some way, I don't know if my parents bought it or my brother, but somehow I got a pair, and that like changed my life forever, like through sneakers. I love it. Yeah.
For me, it was a pair of, remember when Adidas came out with like the lightest shoe ever, like Adi Zero? I bought like the all red one for like super cheap. It was on sale or something. And I was like, oh, I'm about to start like dunking. This is me in like 6th grade. I was like, this is the beginning of the journey. I wore it to like my birthday party that year, and I was just like, yo, I feel so cool. They broke in like 2 months. They were way too light. I don't know who designed them. But then I got the D-Rose like 1.5s, and those were really good. So we love Adidas.
Good shoe.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first shoe.
Chuck Taylors. Played competitively in them till my 50s. Chuck Taylors. Chucks. Is that the latest basketball shoe?
It's timeless.
Yeah.
It's older than everything we said.
Except for me.
That's the reason you stopped playing
No, I just couldn't. At some point, like my back, it was like, oh, okay, and then then I had to change. But Chuck Taylor, I played a long time. Yeah. In fact, I couldn't play in any other shoe. I didn't understand it, but it's because I'm old. Any last questions?
Something that stuck out to me about Jarrel's video was when you guys were interviewing all the players about what the club meant to them. Someone said it's church, and that like idea of like, I don't know, like sanction and sanctity is like such a powerful thing. So my question is like, has anybody ever demonstrated like disrespect or not as much respect for the game and you had to them and kind of handle an altercation where someone is like really, really passionate about it, someone maybe isn't as passionate about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, if you attend the Sunday Wash Club run, you know, like I'm all about positivity. We're not that type of basketball. There's hundreds, thousands of basketball clubs, but if you come here, you know it's all about like positivity, family. My dad is always on the sidelines, so I already know I'm comfortable. Like nothing's gonna go down. Emmy's family, Max is in the crowd. He's family, so it's like we all know each other. So I won't let anything happen to anyone, especially if you play in the Lower East Side where I grew up. So I know nothing's gonna happen. So I feel like I've built a great community. I'm looking for like great people to be around, so I know who's part of the club and who's not. So.
Yeah, I moved here about a year and a half ago, and Sunday Watch Club is one of the first things that I heard about when I was like, I'm trying to get into. So that's my little seed, but respectfully.
I got you. I got you.
It's not an accident that Jarrel's club is like incredibly successful because he's like puts good energy out there. His family comes and they're good energy. Danny too. Danny like injects a lot of great energy into the good people.
Danny's so cool, man. His parents are here. He approached me on the basketball court. I was just like trying to get some content. He was like, "You want me to record you?" And I was like, "This guy speaks my language." And shout out to Danny.
Like we're all obsessed with this, so it's pretty cool that we all have like this relationship like through basketball.
But to answer your question, I will say I think at times like the court will get competitive. It might get a little feisty. Sometimes people do. You gotta tell people to chill out a little bit and remind them like, yo, we're all washed up. We're all regular. Like you're not getting paid to play. Like enjoy this for what it is, and like let's get back into the game and we kind of move on and continue with it. So those moments do happen. It's not like it's all kumbaya every 24/7.
But I'll tell you, I can say that all four of you, just thank you. Thank you for giving all that you give to basketball. Thank you for letting basketball give so much to you. Thank you for creating the worlds that you create as basketball flows through you. And thank you for coming here tonight and sharing like your stories on the first class, the first like day of class at NYU. how basketball can save the world. Thank you so much.
Thank
Next week we'll go over the syllabus. We'll have another guest. Check out the readings. Make sure you're up to date. You've got one more day to decide whether you want to drop or add. And I just want to thank my guests again. If you want to say hello to them, please come up. Don't touch, but please
Add to class.
Yeah, thank you.